Hey, this is the Feed the Cats podcast, and today we have a very unique guest. This guy, David Weck, I call him the Nikola Tesla of speed training because he's kind of half crazy with his ideas, but he's like 10 times brilliant as well. I think it takes a mind that's really creative to think of new things and not just to go by the recipe that you were taught from the beginning. Tell me about a couple of your stranger ideas that really fly in the face of conventional coaching.
Well, both arms down to create the double down pulse. That's something I've never heard the instruction. I was not instructed in that, and I don't see the instruction, and there tends to be great resistance to the instruction. So that would be one that's hiding in plain
Explain
sight.
what double down is. It doesn't mean you're moving your arms both at the same time downward. Right?
Well, one here, one there, both down, both up, both down, both up.
So I think I right now understand it more than I ever have, because we've talked a lot about the V.
Yes.
It's not making.
It's not this, because there we don't create a spike of jolt. If you watch the fast runners,
Yep.
right? So let's look at football, where you got Deion Sanders. He's like, one step faster than anybody. I don't care what you're in. I'm one step faster as Deion. So Deion tensions his hands like this. There's extension and then flexion, and that makes them more bouncy. And then he comes up elbow high here, and he boom, boom, boom. And he's creating a connective tissue recoil with the side that you're landing on.
So what we're really saying here is that the hands make a V,
yes,
and not an extended U.
Right. If you're going to jump, then you have more time on the ground. You're going to harness all of that built up momentum.
Then it is a U.
That's a big jump is more of a U.
Yes.
Right? There's still a V aspect to it where you can sort of get that moment of differential, a little accelerant from the down to up.
I see that when we're doing pogo jumps. There's that jolt thing.
They're going to naturally, if there's hurdles or pogo, whatever, they want to get off the ground fast, they're going to naturally organize themselves to jolt and do that.
And it's almost like a blocking type of sensation as they jolt upward, because they jolt and then they don't keep going.
It's a very fast jolt so that you can get off the ground as fast as you can, delivering the most productive force to gain the greatest distance in the least amount of time to do it again.
So you're really experiencing a double jolt.
Yeah, because the arm coming forward is where the opportunity will be missed. Okay, if somebody is just jogging casually, okay, you're coming in the seventh inning, you're the pitcher. Right, you're jogging around or whatever. Jogging, you will naturally see most human beings bounce the arms like this. Right, it's very rare that you would see somebody jogging like this.
Yes.
Right? So in jogging, there's no urgency, right? So there's nothing in your upper brain that's upsetting the capacity of the lower brain to organize faster, because you're not going that fast. And so you don't care, you're just doing it. Now, as soon as there's urgency and I have to run a race and I've been told, okay, 90-90, cheek to cheek, and I do this stuff, I start thinking like, okay, I got to set myself up here. Now you're taking yourself away from the capacity to do what is biomechanically optimal, and you're wasting because you're too hasting, because there's urgency. But if you take the time to understand that, no, I want the most productivity out of that land load launch as possible, that means I have to align the body for zero restriction for force to flow down and up, and down is first, then it's up. And when we invest in down, the hand moves a lot faster than the center of mass does in the vertical and horizontal. But what happens is, as you're touching down with the foot, you're beginning the landing, okay? The hand hasn't stopped yet. The hand is going to stop milliseconds after touchdown. The hand hits, it transfers through the body, and you get more connective tissue recoil. And the different athletes will do it in different ways. Usain Bolt had it where he did it with the elbow, with the elbow
Yep.
and the bounce.
Yep.
Christian Coleman in acceleration, much deeper pulse with the arm. Justin
Which
Gatlin,
brings
very
up,
strong.
even though there are conventional conservative coaches that still teach it wrong, you're seeing it done right by so many great sprinters.
Yeah, so what I say is, the AI that I'm most interested in is the athletic intelligence. And so Michael Johnson is a fantastic example of the pinnacle of greatness, right? With athletic intelligence, that the IQ is off the chart, but the intellectual understanding is literally aiming off the target. So imagine if he had aligned his intent in every rep that he ever did in training with the bullseye, as opposed to literally intent thinking, and he's aiming in the opposite direction because he said, and until he learns it from me, he's going to keep saying it, and there's an ego issue to learn it, whatever.
Sure.
I'm right. So basically, he says that he keeps his head perfectly still. And we all nod and agree and say, oh, he has such a weird stride, because we all look at it from the side where you can't see the head.
And you don't look from the side. You like to look from the front.
The side vantage point, I need to see that too, because that's where you're going to see the acceleration angles. You see the stride length, right? So those are very important, but they are second in priority to systemic balance that can only be ascertained from the front.
Okay, before we get to the question that obviously needs to follow that, let's talk about your pulsers.
Okay.
You invented those when?
It was 2016, 2010, I discovered this core fist posture, which gave me the capacity to discover double down.
A tangential thing, was that your second greatest creation? The BOSU Ball, for those of you who don't know, this guy right here is the creator of the BOSU Ball, and that changed the athletic world. It also created a lot of ankle biters for you.
I think my BOSU Ball took more, arrows, bullets, and bombs than any other product in the history of our industry.
Why?
It's so successful and ubiquitous that you can't go anywhere without seeing one, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I was at PT the other day for my knee, and I told my excellent PT girls, I said, I know the creator of that thing.
Yeah. So basically, with this little tangential, the BOSU Ball, what happened with that was it was launched at the right time because the stability ball was at the peak of popularity. So you go to a trade show that have like 300 stability balls in a room with somebody teaching you exercise. Now they don't have that class in the convention, right? So the BOSU Ball came right at that peak, and you had that, and so it was very well accepted from the coach of the Lakers, the coach of the Yankees, the coach of the Devils, because Jeff Mangold was the coach of the Yankees, but who knows Jeff Mangold, but they know the Yankees. I want the testimonial to say, whoever you are, New York Yankees, because that's where the equity is.
Sure.
Right? I go and well, don't trust me, trust the ski team, the Lakers, the Yankees, they all use it. And it's basically just a high utility tool with some unique utility that can be harvested, and you'll be a better athlete for having done those things. But what happened was, you see people, someone doing an exercise on it that an athletic trainer coach would deem to be silly nonsense. And then the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater. Oh, the BOSU Ball sucks because I saw something I didn't like on it with a non-athletic person. So, that got me upset. But then what happened was the industry, the fitness industry, which really, the science of exercise mechanics and stuff, that's going to govern where the whole thing goes, right? So in 2007, they somehow stumbled upon this hypothesis.
And what year was the BOSU Ball created?
99.
99.
99.
I'm sorry.
So we had that meteoric, sort of slow, steady meteoric, right? And in 2007, we sell more BOSU Balls to consumers than we do to fitness clubs, but it started in fitness clubs and athletic rooms, right? In 2007, the core stability training narrative shifted to the idea that we need to brace the spine in neutral because the core does not generate power Like specifically, it does not. These muscles, God gave them to you to anti-extend, to anti-side bend, to anti-twist. They don't even know rotate. So anyway, what happened was this became like, oh, more force, core stability, more force, core stability. And they equated this core stability with gait, locomotion, athletics, and it's just wrong. And so what's the antithesis of like a stable, more force? Oh, the BOSU ball. It's unstable. It makes healthy athletes weaker. And then a study was performed in 2007. It was the effects of unstable surface training on athletic markers. And they used this product called a Dynadisc, which is just a cushion that if you jumped on it, you'll break your ankle. So it is inherently unstable. It is an air cushion. And the BOSU ball is stable when the dome is up. Like you can jump on it. It's a convex trampoline.
Yep.
Okay, so you get a balance of stable, unstable.
So it was a flawed scientific study.
Of course it was. It was agenda science, right? I want to prove that that's
Agenda
bad,
science.
so we're going to do it and we're going to get it. And, I make my bona fides because I've kowtowed to McGill and whoever the hell else is, the emperor of, straitjackets telling us how to train. So what that did was that just took, if you were a CSCS coach, you went to the conference and if you said you liked the BOSU ball, they'd kick you out.
It's funny you were talking about the braced spine. I've had success coaching sprinters, but I can remember, I don't know if it's 15 years ago, whatever, I'd had success, but I repeated, we have a tendency to repeat what experts say.
Yes.
And I used to say that sprinting was really a great core exercise because the core has to stay stable and fixed as your arms and legs are moving super fast. And that is 100% wrong.
Correct. What has to happen is the center of mass, okay, that we want to go straight in a straight race. And there is no such thing as a straight line in your body. And so everything has to now spiral to make this center of mass move straight through
Which
space.
is the spinal engine.
The spinal engine, because here's what it is. First, you're a fish, right? You're buoyant. All you need to do is do this. Think if a shark wants
back
to...
and forth.
Back and forth, because side to side. If a shark wants to breach, it has to go down deep and come up. But a dolphin, who's three-dimensional, can bing, bing, bing. The shark really does this. Right? The shark can't do this.
And which one's faster?
Oh, come on. A dolphin will kill a shark, right? It's more athletic, right?
Yeah, it's a 3D movement.
It's a 3D movement.
Even though the center of mass is staying in the same place relatively, everything is moving left, right, up. It is literally moving in 3 dimensions.
Yes, and you can think of figure eights make you great because a figure eight never has to stop, right? If I have to stop and go,
Yes.
like this idea of like, okay,
Yeah,
like
I've
it's
seen that
just-
100 times.
And what you see is like, I just posted it the other day, Rich Eisen, right, ESPN commentator, he does his, they bring out the sundial and he runs his 40 in a suit, and then Dion runs backward and beats him as, whatever. But I have Chris Johnson juxtaposed to Rich Eisen. And Rich Eisen is doing what the coach told him to do because he has the intellectual intelligence without the athletic intelligence. He's a better student because he will follow instructions. Okay, so he's doing it. He's wearing a necktie. Look at the necktie. And Chris Johnson's hair is going boom, boom, boom. He ran a 4.24. This guy's still running.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So we got off on the BOSU ball a little bit.
Yeah.
The number 2 are your pulsers?
Well, pulsers are the most impactful, and that's a pun because it's about...
And tell people what the pulsers do.
Okay, so the propulsors, there's 2 versions. Okay, they can be used... The ones that are used in the hands exclusively for flight and for fight it's BBs inside of a container with space. And what that does is it allows us to now go back and forth on this amortization between down, which is going faster than gravity, so the inertia of the weights at the bottom of the container, the weight, when I go faster than gravity, the inertia of the weight keeps it relatively the same. The top of the bottle now catches it. I send it down.
So your hand going down is faster than gravity, which sends the BBs up
at the top. And then when you stop, you don't have the resistance of all the metal. You only have the ounce or 2 or 3 of the container. So now there is no burden, no difference to your stop, but then instantly after the stop, you get a ping. And so it's sort of like this analogy. If I'm doing this, the pulsers go bing.
Yes. And for those people on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts right now, he's showing a finger that is bent back and snaps forward.
If for the listener who's not seeing it, imagine snapping your finger without the thumb setting it to boom, snap. So if you just took your middle finger and you did it, that's an unassisted, back and forth. But the analogy is that you put the pressure in with that middle finger, the thumb blocks it, and then it releases it, and that stored up energy.
And there is a snap.
It's a connective tissue recoil is what's doing that. It's not a volitional muscle effort. It's more a byproduct.
Say that again. A
connective tissue recoil.
Which is it wrong for me to say that's a snap?
No, it's snappy.
It's snappy.
Yeah.
I actually, that's become like one of my favorite words.
Yeah, well, a snap.
A snap.
The only bad connotation that sort of hits me is like the Achilles tendon. We don't want that to snap. I'd rather want that to,
Correct.
And the problem is, I think, again, little quick tangential. The athlete in the 1970s was smaller and weaker than the athlete today,
100%.
but his and her feet were a lot stronger. The good athlete now is getting shepherded around a travel ball. He's never outside those cleats. He didn't have 3 months in the summer.
Okay, I'm not going to let you keep talking about feet.
Okay.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish up the thing about propulsors.
Okay.
Maybe,
Yes.
I'm thinking.
I go tangential.
I know. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And so, if somebody wanted to know what it feels like, it's almost like BBs in a pill bottle.
Yes, so go get Mentos, right? Take out a third of them or a half of them and just, ding, ding, ding. That's the essence of it. But
And when do the two sounds happen? It happens on the completion of the downstroke.
Yep.
And then the completion
of the
of
upstroke.
the other. If you think about it, it's the two sides of the V.
Correct.
Where the sound happens at the bottom of the V.
Yep.
We have so far talked about the BOSU Ball. We've talked about the pulsar. We talked about the center of gravity and being 3D, the spinal engine around it.
Yes.
And we could go anywhere next, but since you brought it up, let's go head over foot.
Okay, yes.
So it's very simple that when the foot is down, the head is down, the head is over that foot.
And the spine is coiled, not straight. If I put my head over my foot with the core straight, the center of mass will have to locate itself in that direction.
If the head is over the foot,
If you stand on one foot,
don't you have to be coiled?
No.
No,
If I stand on one foot with my shoulders square and my spine straight, my center of mass migrates to be in line with the head, the center, and the foot. The only way that I can keep the center in the middle is the side bend, and it's the anatomical, structure of the spine. That means the lateral bend is going to bring the shoulder down and back.
Scrunches that side.
Scrunches with a spring because the shoulder goes down and back and the hip comes up and forward. What do I want to do with my foot that's on the ground? I want to get it up off the ground. What if I can inch it up with the hip so it's already off the ground?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that when I would video Marcellus Moore from the front, he did something that Noel Lyles did or does, that Bolt does, where the shoulders are not even.
They're doing this.
It's the shoulder. There's all kinds of movement with the shoulders.
Yes.
I used to say that Marcellus had a head wobble, but really what he was doing was getting that head over the foot.
He was coiling.
And I never coached it.
I said to Tony, I believe that Tony has created the ultimate environment, circumstance, playground, sandbox, whatever you want to call it, where he's not inhibiting them by telling them, oh, you can do it this way, but he's creating a competitive environment where they love, where that They self-organize because they're thinking about beating their friend. They're thinking about running a faster time. And that naturally just takes all of the thinking and concern away from your technique. You're doing it. The body does it if you do it. Michael Johnson does it. Nobody ever taught him. Usain Bolt does it. Nobody ever taught him. The athletes do it and nobody ever taught them. But the track coaches have been telling them since time immemorial. Basically, when you invent the wheel, the axle, the cart, and a beast of burden to move it, well, then maybe you don't care about walking so much anymore. Okay.
I love that. Okay, so I've had coaches that I think I've empowered to sprint train their athletes. And all along they were afraid to sprint train their athletes, partly because they heard that you're going to get hurt if you sprint.
You'll pull your muscle.
And of course, you will get hurt because you never sprint. But if you sprint a couple times a week, then you're almost bulletproof. But where I was going with this is that some guys took my stuff and basically started doing it without being a sprint scientist. But they came back and said, we've gotten faster. And I think the key thing is that we're timing sprints.
Listen, I have a brother who's 10 years younger than me, one of my brothers. I was 26, he was 16. We're in the back of my parents' yard, and we have a pull-up bar, and we're trying the muscle up, all right? First time we're trying it. I fail on my first attempt. Couldn't do it. My 10-year younger brother gets up, he does it. Give me that bar, and I did 3. If he's not there, then I don't even get 1. He's there, competitive fire goes up. If the human being has the will, you find the way.
I've even noticed with my 4 grandkids, Kendrick, Axel, McKenna, and Marlo, 2 boys, 2 girls, age ranges 4 to 8. What I've noticed is that even at the age of 3 and 4, and of course we were timing them, they were racing, we would video it, and oh my goodness, they did things better than some of my pretty good athletes that had some talent did it. And I just wonder if we're not born with the instinctive way to sprint and we're either coached out of it or we just don't sprint and we never develop it.
And well, also some of it is where you come up, right? So if I come up and everybody in my household and family's big cat because we're athletes, I'll just osmotically adopt that strategy. I don't got to think about it. It's just going to happen, right? You're going to speak English, you're born here. You're going to speak Chinese, born in China. But it's when someone comes up amongst a bunch of clunkies that now they're more likely to be clunky because unless they have, like, oh, we play wiffle ball and I need to get to first base and then I'm going to do it correctly. That I would say sprinting is as fast as you can go. You could be good at it, you could be bad at it, and if all you can do is crawl to go put out the fire, sprint. Okay? So I don't want to make it this mystical thing that you're not prepared to do it, you won't be doing it today. Didn't we come out here to sprint? Like, why did we come out here? And then what I would say is the very first thing that you do to walk, to jog, to run, to sprint is you establish the pattern that you can build on, which is balance. What I would like this industry to be is where we can be professional and collegial and, you know, share information and disagree, I don't know, without a lot of problems.
Yeah, I was going to add in one of the things today, and these are not things that are easy to get out of you because you're such a deep thinker. And you bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, my mind is.
But that's what makes you great as well.
Yeah.
But one of my interpretations, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I could take away that if I'm like working with my 8-year-old grandson who probably already does it fine, that you can work on head over foot just walking.
I like to say if you're going to do it anyway, you might as well put yourself on the path to perfect.
So
like
it can just simply be just walking with the tilted shoulders, the scrunch, the elongation.
Right. So if you're going to evaluate my greatest contributions to human movement, one of them is certainly rope flow. And rope flow is simply not jumping through a jump rope. And
you never jump through it.
If you're training rope flow,
Yeah, right.
you are not jumping through it. You're free to jump through anytime you want, but that's not rope flow. And you can combine rope flow with jump rope to make
And why do you do rope flow?
Rope flow forces you to rotate and you learn the beat. As an athlete, I want to move fast and
by
far.
the beat, is that similar to what I call rhythm?
Rhythm rides on the beat, right? Rhythm puts that melody, rhythm sets the tone for the melody and it has its beat. And if you're a musicophile, audiophile who loves music, then you want to hear 9/15 change into, whatever, these crazy rhythms and stuff. If you're like most people, you like 3 chords rock and roll, right? And the beat is the unified down and up. Everything down, every molecule of your mass down to up. Jumping rope is syncopated. The hands are down, the feet are up, right? The hands are down, the feet are up. That's quick feet change. I'm in a power stance, boop, I'm in a power stance, boom, boom, boom. It's boxing, where you're moving fast and quick, but you're not going fast and far. Or if I'm a linebacker, I got to get 15 yards over there. So if I'm doing jump rope, that's not feeding my ability to put 100% on the beat and on the beat.
Could I say that rope flow teaches the spinal engine?
Rope flow perfects the spinal engine.
Okay.
Rope flow perfects the timing.
Gotcha.
Rope flow protects the complete integration all the way hands, feet, head. Rope flow is the Rosetta Stone of training modalities. With Weck Method, we say that the tools are the teachers.
So getting back to my takeaways.
Yes.
Another takeaway is you can practice head over foot by going upstairs or sprinting up hills.
Yeah, that is where the constraint.
It almost forces you.
It highly incentivizes you to the point where you can find a slope or a duration where you would be forced to do it. Right, so you will not make the next step unless you have the leverage within you to do it.
And I brought up the idea that nobody taught me to do this, but when I am taking a bicycle up a hill,
yes,
I have to put my weight, my head over my foot, or else I'm not very strong on that side.
Yes, and all you have is your body weight on a bicycle, and uphill, I guess you could say your body weight's working against you. And if I don't line it up to contribute more than body weight with a pull and a push, because on the handlebar, what you're
pulling,
doing,
aren't you?
You're going over to the pedal side, so you get all your weight on the pedal side.
So your weight, let's say
the pedal's high.
Let's say my head is over my left foot.
Yes.
I'm pulling with my right hand.
Here's what you're doing. When you get the left foot here, as the pedal pushes down, I pull up. And then that
so it's
comes,
the same arm.
It's the same as the spinal engine, where this side is coiled and then it uncoils.
So the foot's going down on that bike, going up a hill.
Yes,
at the same time as the same side is pulling up.
Pulling up, and the head is lined over that side.
And I said it wrong, but if I was actually taking my bicycle up the hill, I would never be doing the opposite.
No, you couldn't. But that's a great example of how thinking can be adulterated and wrong, and it's definitely
being Rich
slow.
Eisen. You end up running like a dork.
Listen, you end up running like a complete dork, and here's the problem. All right, and the solution is so simple. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Okay. The solution couldn't be simpler, and they say that genius is in the simplification of the complex, right? And that's like, you could accuse me of being too complex because I'm always doing all this stuff so that I can understand.
Sure.
Right? I need to branch out and
You're
understand.
a creator. That's why you do it.
I'm a critical thinker and I'm a creative thinker, and I take pride in my critical thinking.
And I'm not a creative guy.
You're a critical thinker.
I hope I'm a critical thinker, but it's always to simplify the complex.
Yeah, well,
and that's why you and I work together well.
I think the reason we work together well is because we recognize the contribution of each side, and we don't conflict. I mean, if you're competing for the greatest biomechanist in the history of humankind, which is what I'm competing for, well, then maybe we butt heads a little bit more. But you're a cook and a chef, and this, and I'm better ingredients. That's all I am, right?
we got to get to your feet.
Okay, but
Feet.
feet. All
Tell
right.
me feet.
Feet. The most important thing you can understand about your feet is it ain't about your feet until it's about your feet. Your upper body determines balance. So imagine putting your upper body in the craziest position. What is your foot good for in that moment? Nothing. So what you have to do is you have to establish the systemic balance.
Head over foot.
Head over
Spinal
foot.
engine.
Spinal engine that allows you
Double down.
Yeah, these are the basics.
I
right?
know.
This is the new standard, by the way.
I'm learning.
Yeah. Well, you need the foot. If I'm going straight, I want the foot to go lateral to medial. Okay?
Yes. So
if I'm going straight,
I think I know that. Okay. Tell me about the landing.
Okay.
The landing is
in a sprinter.
on the outside of the foot.
The landing on a sprinter is what I call the green dot, which is the 4th and 5th metatarsal heads, is the initiation
That's
point.
the
outside ball of the foot.
Ball of the foot.
Outside ball of the foot is the initiation point for a straight line sprint if you're any good.
But as you go down, people are not running on the balls of their feet. There is contact
it depends.
with most of the lateral tripod, isn't it?
Yes, you're right, but there are exceptions, okay? There are exceptions who position themselves so there is no backward deformation whatsoever. That does exist. In track, I think it's a little bit harder to do than
Now,
on a
we
football
definitely
field.
don't land on our heels. I don't
No.
I don't want
Here's
people to
what
think
we're
that.
talking. Tom Tellez didn't have the high speed, slow motion to analyze, so he said that every sprinter's heel touches the ground. That's not true. Usain Bolt's heel did not touch the ground. What it did was he landed, okay?
On the outside of his foot.
He lands on the outside. Now,
And then comes off his big toe.
Yeah, well, we'll go in between that
Okay,
too.
okay.
So he lands on the outside. It starts to roll to the inside. The force acting upon the foot wants to spin it to the inside because your center of mass is
For
here.
sure it
It
does.
wants
I've
to
seen
spin
that a
it.
million times.
Exactly. And so what's going to end up happening is outside, inside, it's going to experience that spin force, and then your body will either ricochet out where the heel will flip out, or, and this is what Johan Blake, Ricky Henderson, Barry Sanders, what they'll do is they'll roll to the inside, and then what they'll do is the foot will shoot over behind the other leg. So it's going to do, I land on the outside, it goes to the inside, it's going to experience that force, and it's either going to go here, it's either going to go here, or it's going to go here.
He's shown outside or inside. Which is more effective?
It depends on the body, because if you tell Johan Blake to do it the other way, he'll be slower, and if you tell the other guy to do it the way Johan Blake does, he'll do it slower.
And even though this is an interesting coaching point, even though you may know, like Corfus talks about the tripod, you're landing on the outside, you're coming off the big toe, that activates the glute. But what I have found is that when you start cueing that to coach kids, no,
that's like, okay, well now you're thinking.
Is there anything you can coach kids?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Tell me what you'd say.
So what you want to do here's a great story. So Joel Smith, Just Fly Sports, one of the most knowledgeable.
One of our favorite people.
One of the best in the business.
Best podcasts.
One of the best in the business, because if he tells you something biomechanics, you can count on that he's correct.
Yep.
And that's a short list. It's a very short list. And if you can't do it in a sentence, and
how many times have you been on that podcast?
4 or 5.
Yeah, I think I've been on 4.
Yeah.
So
real knows real.
If people want to know more, they can find podcasts. And don't you feel? I've always felt like when I got off of Joe's podcast that it was like, damn, that was good. Because he's good. Because he's good.
The last one that I did was Chris Chamberlain and me. Ooh. So you had both. And I mean, Joel was like, this was amazing. So, but anyway, Joel Smith was coaching a high school or college long jump.
Yep.
Okay. So she's got the ramp, she's got a rundown, and they were noticing a little bit of that everting foot action that, okay, you're collapsing to the inside a little bit more than we'd like. So what are we going to do? Joel said, okay, on this next rep, what I want you to do is I want you to think you get your head to the side and you get your head to the side. Really emphasize that.
Head over foot.
Head over foot. Turns out that fixed the feet in that particular intervention. because she was obviously, the rep before, too much in the middle. The center line force is dipping the foot in prematurely.
Locked up spine.
Exactly. And then when she went head over foot, she gave herself that systemic balance to lateral to medial. Come over and fix the feet without doing the feet. So the upper body will determine what the feet are capable of, and then it's understanding how to strengthen the feet and then what your intent is.
I'm around a lot of people, Chris Korfis and Cal Dietz especially, that love to talk about feet. And I think that if you talk about the training in a weight room, pretty much everything below the knee is poorly trained or not trained. And we all
below
know,
the ankle for sure, right?
Below the ankle for sure.
Yeah.
And I know Chris Korfis has worked on some of my guys sometimes, and he goes, "Damn, you got some strong feet," you know. And then I'm like, maybe that's why he's fast. I didn't know why he's fast. So how do you strengthen the feet?
Okay, so strengthening the feet is, my approach is, I prioritize the very first thing that I want to strengthen, and you do it with this sort of pressure. So you can use a cylinder, you picture like a roller or a PVC pipe. You're perpendicular to it, and in between the outside of your heel.
So you're lengthwise.
Yeah,
like
you're
a PVC
lengthwise.
pipe.
Yeah, and where I want to focus first is I want to be in front of the heel, behind the fifth metatarsal, the back of the fifth metatarsal.
And the fifth metatarsal's the outside.
Pinky toe.
Pinky toe.
So you're right in front of the heel, and you're in back of the bones that go to the pinky toe, and there's a big chunk of meat right there.
So it's the outside of the foot is making contact with the PVC pipe.
Here's what I'm trying to do. I am trying to take the meaty tissue, because your feet and your hands are there's not a lot of meat. It's mostly like springy long tendons. The proximal is fleshy and meat and fluid. This is, very bouncy, and there's not a lot of big muscle, but you got a big chunk of meat right in front of the heel behind that fifth metatarsal. And what I am trying to do is I'm trying to strengthen it and take restriction out of it, so that when I do hit the outside ball of the foot, which is going to hit first, I get the power of the heel. If I have if I can't bridge because that meat in the middle there is not strong, now I'm going to have that deformation of, I'm going to hit the ball of the foot, my foot will fall back and my heel will hit the ground, and that's slower and blah, blah, blah. So I want to strengthen that outside. That's my first priority. Then what I want to do is...
And how do you strengthen that?
Oh, okay, sorry. You get a river rock and you stand on it. You find pain and you make pain go away. You stand on a bread roller, a flour roller, a cylinder, and you get on it, you put your weight on it, you secure yourself so you can't fall, and you roll and you find pain, and you put pressure in to create delicious discomfort.
I've never heard that in my life.
So delicious discomfort is the threshold where you don't have to defend yourself, but you are making change. If it overwhelms you, your nociceptive response is to recoil, and now you're not getting release, you're just putting restriction in.
So your goal is to create pain.
To make it go away.
To make it go away.
Find the pain, and pain is weakness leaving your body, right? Get tough, bite a belt, whatever you got to do. And just be persistent and regular, that you are going to be able to put pressure on.
Does that hurt most people?
When I started, I couldn't do it with even a fraction of my body weight, because I had rollerbladed for 6 years and my feet had no strength. I rollerbladed in Manhattan for 6 years. I didn't walk for 6 years.
Which no strength of the feet is an interesting subject.
Well, what happens is every step is stepping on a Lego block that you don't even know you're stepping on, and now all the tension is rising, and I hurt my back, and my back couldn't get better because my feet couldn't commit to the ground without apprehension, and it's like, I'm wimpy.
We're basically wearing coffins on our feet, and our feet...
That's Phil Knight's fault.
There you go. Yeah, this is interesting, because if you wear shoes all the time, like during the winter, let's say, and you're a little kid, and back in the day we used to play barefoot, and the first couple days,
it
hurt.
You got to
We'd step on a
reacclimate.
stick, we weren't exactly Tarzan in the jungle.
Yeah,
because
by August you were getting a little Tarzan.
We were, because your feet toughen up.
Correct.
And what you're saying is, when the feet toughen up, they're stronger.
Yes, absolutely. If I think strength, I define strength as pressure management. That's how I define strength. You're able to muster the pressure to move or do whatever. That's it. I like to simplify it. It's pressure management. If I can bench 300, well, then I can manage the pressure to manage that. And then if I can't, well, then I put on a lifting suit that gives me the pressure that now I can do it.
Now, you showed me about an hour ago here in your apartment in San Diego. You showed me a board that looked like it had about 200 nails in it.
Oh, yeah, the little
and
nail board.
Where I said, no way, that
Right.
would like, go through my feet. And they go, no, the nails are pretty close together.
Yeah.
And you talked about Chris.
800-pound deadlift.
800-pound deadlift. While
Barefoot
standing
nail boards.
On barefoot on nail board.
Yes.
Now, is that the type of
No.
strengthening thing, or is that different?
No, that is different, but can be very useful. So the kind that I'm talking about is the blunt force that you could sharpen with the sort of edge of a river rock or something to get a more acute pressure. So a cylinder is very nice because you can sort of, move the foot a little bit laterally.
And your goal is pain.
Your goal is to find the pain and make it go away with strength. And here's the thing. If you have a stroke or someone has a stroke, your body will just claw into flexion. So what it is the extension is what we have to train because you're going to come back to here
You want
when
to
you're weak.
explode and not implode.
We want both, and if you want to really have implode, well, then you got to explode to explode, right? It's differential.
That's kind of like the coiling.
Everything, it's polarity, and I want 0, I want 100. That's the furthest, and it's fastest. 30 to 70 is restricted, so it doesn't go as far, and it goes slower, right? 0, no restriction. 100, 100%. Boom, 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 boom. 30, I'm stuck. 70, I'm stuck. Right? So we want to open up all restriction, and that's a both sides utilized approach. And that's your broad stroke for everything.
Tell me about another product.
Let me just say about the feet.
Oh, go ahead.
So with the
Finish up
feet, the feet, the priority that I'm going to have is the outside arch, the transverse arch, and then the medial arch. That's the sequence that I'm going to be doing this pressurization to find the pain and make it go away. And
So it's not really the toes.
no, now here's what it is. Here's what it is. Concomitant in accord with that pressure, your goal is to spread and splay and extend the toes as much as you possibly can so that the object on the bottom that is creating the pressure, the pain that you're making go away, doesn't force you to flex. You have to be able to override the wimpiness that when pressure comes here, you fail under pressure. No.
You got to keep the toes.
You want that, if you can splay and extend those toes so much, now you have a stronger capacity to now use the flexion, right? If it just defaults to flexion, well, when you get open, you got nothing.
So would I be right to think that kids from like my day
Yeah, they had stronger
had
feet.
stronger feet?
Way stronger feet.
Why?
Because you were climbing trees and you were running around riding your bike barefoot, and your shoes were not as sophisticated and advanced yet. You had the
Which is why you brought up Phil Knight.
Yeah, well, Phil Knight basically let us down. He comforted dysfunction to mask it in the moment, only to just riddle the body with so many problems. Ear, nose, throat people are in business because Nike, he spent 25 years in your Nikes, and he was so successful that everybody else had to copy him, right? And their running shoes and their spikes, they are amazing. They'll help you run faster. And that's great for the race. But what about the other 23 hours or the other 18 hours? They're not good shoes.
So there's more foot problems today than there were 50 years ago?
It's a good question. I think there's certainly more catastrophic injuries today than there were 50 years ago. I would say that, if you were stuffed in cowboy boots, maybe your feet aren't functioning all that great either. But I think if you're a regular person, I think your feet were stronger 50 years ago, like definitely.
Yeah. So let's get back to a product of yours. And you're really in the product business.
Well, yeah. I mean, what it
with
is
the ProPulsers, the BOSU Ball,
I make my money selling products, and I give away my training for free. And
Yes.
then if you want expertise, you pay for the expertise.
I got you.
And
So tell me about the vest.
the Propulse Power Vest, it's the other iteration of the Pulsar. So it's not a BB mass. It's a weight that is suspended in the air within the cartridge by a spring. So what you do is you're holding the potential energy of the weight on a spring that's calibrated to be hair trigger. So it's barely floating that weight. So as soon as that thing experiences the drop and stop, it boom, it sends the weight down and up. And what it's doing is
How many of those are in the vest?
you can pack 20 of them into the high performance vest, and we will either have 10, 12, or 15 in the casual convenient vest.
Can people buy these yet?
Not yet. We sold out the first order, and now we have another order coming in. This will be my best-selling product.
Ever?
Yeah. It's to date, and then shoes will outpace that eventually. But the Propulse Power Vest, it's an athletic advantage, and it's one that has zero learning curve. So
Tell me if I had a son that was a 14-year-old athlete that had some talent and all that stuff, what would buying that vest do for him?
So basically what the vest is going to do is the vest will give you an advantage in your land load launch interaction. And it's the most counterintuitive thing that I was surprised. So basically what happens is, because when you hit, you don't experience any inertia of the weight, because the weight gets to move through space.
So when you hit, the weight stays
Yes,
up.
the weight is up when you hit, and then it goes down. And there's a time coefficient where you did not experience any of its inertia. So we're taking inertia, that horrible, slow...
My favorite word.
Oh, it's hard to stop. So you're removing the effects of that. So now you're taking all the momentum and inertial force and you're concentrating it into the moment, which is a dead hammer effect that the cartridge is going to go, boom. And what it does, and we're getting on a force plate with a treadmill, keeping constant. So this is what we're getting, 15-pound power vest. You are creating less impact force at landing. What? You've put 15 pounds of mass on that person.
The vest?
The vest.
Weighs?
15 pounds fully loaded.
Fully loaded.
With 20 cartridges.
There's 20 cartridges.
Yeah.
But the cartridges themselves, do they contain the weight?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cartridge has the weight.
So how much per cartridge?
Call it 10-ish ounces or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
What's the weight made of?
it's just a steel bar.
Okay.
Yeah, steel, cut rolled steel, and cut the size. And so basically what it's doing is, if you're going up an incline, the 15-pound power vest will get you up the incline faster than without it.
You'll be faster with a 15-pound vest on than you are without.
Going upstairs and going up a hill, yes. Every single time we've done it. With athletes bracketing pro all the way
and
to
that is because I'm trying to...
Yeah, it's what it's doing is you're adding an extra spike of force, and
Because there's more weight.
Yeah, and the more there's more weight with essentially no more burden until the weight hits for the millisecond.
Okay.
Right? So there's no burden of the weight until it has actually hit. And the actual hit is truncated to this tiny moment of time, whereas if it were a solid weight,
nanosecond.
It's very fast. And we don't know exactly how fast, but it's fast. It's fast enough that it fits within the 10th of a second.
I was just saying it's a nanosecond when I made it real fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, if it were a solid weight, we would have the burden of stopping it.
You would.
It's strong, but it's not powerful.
You
It hurts
might
your
collapse
joint,
a
and
little
it
bit.
hurts your joints. It's just like
So somebody
too much
with
inertia.
a normal 15-pound vest
if you jump up and down in
really
that,
feels
you beat the hell out of yourself.
You beat the hell out of yourself. Probably not a good thing to do.
If you're just trekking and walking without a lot of impact, it's fine.
Okay,
But
walking.
if you're jumping around with a weight vest on, you're not getting faster, you're getting slower, and you're hurting your joints while you're doing it. Right?
Yeah. And-
So with the power vest, people with bad knees, the knees don't hurt because the fascia is a lot like quicksand or slime. The slime is the Elmer's glue with the baking soda stuff. If the kid makes that, you put it on the table, if I just lean into it, I'll go right through it. But if I punch it, I bounce out of it. So it's a setup. It's contingent upon the amplitude and the speed of that force hitting it, okay? That will determine whether you sink or bounce. If I go slow, I sink.
So is it an apparatus that allows us, even though we have 15 pounds more weight, to bounce better?
Correct. It teaches, yes, what it does is to bounce better, whereby your capacity to verticalize the foot in its recovery is improved. So I am able to, by lightening the landing a little bit and then powering the launching a little bit, the foot gets the cycle better, and that is a technical advantage.
The vest helps you to launch.
Yes, so what happens is we've preserved the potential and we've delayed the impact, and the impact has been reduced to that nanosecond. So I'm landing as if I have no additional weight. A millisecond later, all that additional weight hits, and then it springs up, and you get a lifting effect from the weight as it hits up.
So everybody talks about GCT, ground contact time.
Yes.
Sprinters, it's the common thread of all sprinters.
Yes.
They are at max velocity. They deliver the force, they transition, and then they launch. And that transition is so damn fast that it's like a 1/12 of a second, 0.08 seconds. And then slow people can't do that. They're on the ground longer.
Right, and then they don't get the connective tissue recoil. The faster it goes in, the more it's skipping a stone on the water.
Yes. And so what the vest does is it speeds that. You're wearing 15 extra pounds,
yes,
but you're able to have a short ground contact time because of the vest.
We have timed it where if you did pogo jumps, you will have the same ground contact time with and without. So you've added 15 pounds and you're not on the ground any longer.
You're getting the advantage of the 15 pounds and being able to deal with that extra.
Yes, within the same time constraint.
And I've always told people, like back in my day, and even back in my day, I remember my track coach said, don't run with ankle weights on.
No. That you could do certain things, but you shouldn't run with the ankle weight
because
that's a distal extremity.
It's teaching you long ground contact times.
Yes. Now you could use ankle weights for other things, and maybe lying down even, right? So I'm saying, like, a carpenter does not blame the tool. Okay, figure out something. You give me a Suzanne Summer Thigh Master, and I'll show you something useful. It's not going to be squeezing your legs together, but it's going to be something different. If you know what you're doing, then you can manipulate things around you to help you do what you're doing. Some tools are better than others, but if the tool absolutely doesn't work, and I make it work, well, then I'm better than you.
What a great way to finish this. I cannot tell you how fun this was.
Yeah,
I was like looking for an energy drink about an hour and a half ago, and you have just energized me. Thank you so much. Let's go do some work.